Welcome back to the Gravel Gospel. I'm Bionic Leg. So last time we covered creation, the first 7 days. Um, so I kind of started planting the seed. I did there for the creation of Adam, right? And on the seventh day, God saw everything, saw that it was good, and He rested. So here we're picking up with the actual creation of Adam and Eve. So what happens is God creates everything. Okay. And it goes into Genesis 2. God takes the dust from the earth and he creates man. He creates Adam. And it's so dope because he breathes. We talked about earlier about God using words. So he vocalized a thing and he breathed life into Adam. Okay. And he recognized straight out the gate. He says it's not good for man to be alone. So he gave Adam all the creatures that he made. He gave Adam. He said, "Hey, name these. Call it whatever you call it. That's what it's gonna be." And when God did this, He wanted Adam to have a companion, somebody that was comparable to him. And as Adam went through and named all the animals, God saw. He said, "You know what? That's still not gonna work," because he hadn't made Eve at this point. So God causes Adam, he causes him to go in a sleep, and he pulls a rib from Adam. The joke about why don't dudes like to share? Well, the last time we did, it caused us a rib. So he takes the rib from Adam and he creates Eve. And so they at this point, they're naked. The difference between naked and naked. Naked, you don't have any clothes on. Naked, you don't have any clothes on. You're up to something. But I digress. So either way, um, so at this point, Adam and Eve, they've got knowledge, and so they're chilling in the garden. And then you go into verse 3, or into chapter 3, excuse me. You go into chapter 3, and the serpent. So this is the first time that Satan shows up in the garden. Now, Satan he'd already existed. The angels had already existed, and Satan comes in the form of a serpent, and he shows up and he's talking to Eve, and it says that the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which God had made, and you start to see uh, Satan gaslighting Eve. He says, "Well, God said, don't touch any of these fruits from the tree of life, tree of knowledge of good and evil. But did he say you'll surely die?" He's gaslighting because he knows how this is going to play out. It's like, but he's being cunning. And long story short, Eve he gets Eve to take from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because she sees that it is pleasing to the eye, and so she eats of it and she gives it to Adam, and Adam's like, "What are you doing? God told us not to eat from that tree." And goes, "Well, the serpent said we're not gonna die." And what does this idiot do? Okay, burp, 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 burp. Let's see what this does. The moment that Adam ate from that apple, they knew they screwed up. You knew you jacked up, Aaron, and they knew that they were naked. So what do? They go and they make clothing from they sewed fig leaves, they made clothing because it was the shame. The shame of the nakedness, the shame of we jacked up. So you fast forward a little bit, and this one's going to be kind of short. So you fast forward, and at the cool of the day, God comes. He's in the garden, and he's going to find them. Now God knows where they're at. He can see everything. He knew what happened. But it's kind of interesting for the sake of the story. It's interesting that God asks a loaded question. He knows the answer. He says, "Adam, where are you?" Well, Adam and Eve, they hid because they knew they had done wrong. And So God calls them. Where are you? And they show up. And God says, why are you wearing clothes? And Adam said, well, we made these because we knew we were naked. God says, well, who 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 told you? Who told you that you're naked? And he follows up with a question. Knowing the answer, follows up with a question. Did you eat from the tree that I told you not to eat? And what happens with little kids when your hand's caught in a cookie jar and they got crumbs on their face and they're hiding the cookie because the parent goes, "Hey, what did you do?" Nothing. I can see the crumbs on your face. The cookie's behind your back. I know what's going on here. But he still wanted to provide Adam with the opportunity to answer. And then what's Adam do? He automatically blames the woman. He says, "Well, the woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit. So what did I do? I ate it. Got hungry." So God looks at Eve. What did you do? And then the woman said, blame somebody else instead of taking accountability for their own actions. Well, the serpent, he deceived me, so I ate. Okay. Got it. Tracking. So God said, he looks at the serpent. Because you've done this, you're cursed more than all the cattle. More than every beast of the field. On your belly, you're going to go. Dust you're going to eat. All the days of your life, I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed. And now, this line right here, he shall bruise your heel, he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So later, much later down the road, that's gonna call back much later when we get into the New Testament. So I was saying earlier, in the last video and the video before that, you're going to see these little seeds planted all throughout the story. This just happens to be one of them. So he goes to the woman. He said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Then to Adam, he goes, hey, you ain't getting out of this scot-free. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In the toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Both the thorns and thistles bring forth for you. And you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, from dust you are, and to dust you shall return. So, at this point, Adam and Eve, they done screwed up. You screwed up, Aaron. And now God's like, you know what? I set this for you. Now you got to deal with it. Now you got to pay the consequences. Ran the scientific method. So he kicks him out of the garden. All right, figure it out. Now, at this point, God's not going, hey, you screwed up, now you're on your own. That's not how that works. And you're going to see much later how this plays out and what actually happens. But this is what sets things in motion for the story to come. So, a little short, but gets the point across so you kind of understand, all right, where did all this come from? So, the next time, the next video, we're going to start to get into Cain and Abel. And then a little bit later, we're going to get into the flood. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So, that being said, I am Bionic Leg, and this is the Gravel Gospel. Appreciate you.